Good morning and welcome to the end of 2021 with our coffee conversations. Can't believe it's December. This is crazy, but here we are. I'm Heidi Ellsworth with Roofers Coffee Shop, and we are so proud today to end 2021 and start looking at 2022 with some of the top technology thought leaders in the roofing industry. This is going to be a great coffee conversations, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We are celebrating Roofing Technology Think Tank, RT3, the leader of a group of thought leaders that have come together to bring technology into roofing. And I have been so lucky to be one of that group from the very beginning. So today we've brought some of the brightest together and we're going to start talking about that. But before we get started, I just want to remind everybody, this is being recorded. It will be available on demand, so you can always share it out to everyone out there. We want it to be shared, and especially today, we want everybody to know about what's happening in technology and how they can improve their businesses within roofing using that technology. Reminder, Megan Ellsworth, our producer, is in the back. She's going to be chatting. She'll be bringing you on if you want to. She'll be taking your questions. She'll be answering your questions. So be sure to get into the chat box, say hi to each other, ask us questions. We're going to be taking them through the whole hour. This is going to be great. I also want to do a shout out to someone who is on the call and watching, and that's Karen Edwards, who is the RT3 Executive Director and also the COO and all around amazing lady of Roofers Coffee Shop. So Karen, thanks for being on here. So if you have questions for Karen or how to get involved with RT3, you can chat that all hour too. So we're going to get started here. Again, welcome to Coffee Conversations. Let's go. Let's find out about some great technology that's out there. So first, we're going to meet our panel. Oh, wait, sorry. First, we are going to thank our sponsor. So ABC Supply is the sponsor of this coffee conversation. ABC Supply with My ABC Supply has already been leading the industry with technology, resources, and information for roofing contractors. They are an amazing sponsor of Roofers Coffee Shop. We love what they bring to the industry, what they do on technology, what they do with giving back. And we've been so proud to have them as a sponsor this year on our coffee conversations. So ABC, thank you. Keep up the great work. Now, to meet our panelists. First, I would like to introduce and welcome Anna Anderson with Art Unlimited and the current president of RT3, also on the executive committee of National Women in Roofing, and just all around one of the most amazing influencers in the roofing industry. Anna, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
It is, I have to tell you all, when we start talking, you hear the things that Anna researches regularly, I think like at 3 a.m. or something, you're going to be amazed. This is all great stuff. So I'd like to introduce John Kiesel. John is the president of Division 7 Roofing, and he is also the president of Imagine Technologies. Imagine Technologies is a newer company that has come out that John is leading along with his team, Carrick. I believe you're out there watching. And they are bringing drone opportunities that turn into virtual reality, that turn into 3D. He's going to tell you all about it. It is amazing and is one of the technologies that we're going to talk about and that people should be watching for, coming from a roofing contractor. So John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heidi.
It's great to have you. Finally, I'm very proud to introduce and welcome Scott Riopel, who was the 2020 Innovator of the Year for RT3. He is out of Denver, Colorado. His company is a leader in using technology and systems that has allowed his company to go in so many states, nationally, in so many different places. And Scott's going to talk more about that and how important it is for roofing companies to embrace technology to really make that difference and go into this new world that we're seeing out there. So Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you for being here. So, okay, what we want to do, we're going to start out, don't forget, keep asking your questions and putting your comments out there, but we're going to start out with, for each of our panelists, what is the most important technology that roofing contractors should be looking at in 2022? So not, maybe it's been something we've had, but really, what are some of the things out there on the horizon that everybody should be aware of and looking at? And we're going to start with John. John, what should they be doing?
Well, I think that the white collar side of the business has technology just inundation going on with how to keep track of what's going on administratively. The blue collar side of the roofing operation, there's a blue ocean there for integration for technology and how we can bridge the gap between the office side of things and what's going on out in the field. And for us, for me, it's imagery and how you can virtually see what's going on and connect the office to that in real time and be able to influence the activities of the field from an office environment in real time. That to me is the technology that we need to be looking at, is how to bridge the gap between the white collar side and the blue collar side of the business.
So really bringing your field in, really the men and women who are out in the field, who are doing it every day, how can you put more technology into their hands?
Exactly. And sometimes that may take a champion, as we like to call it in the industry, that's tech savvy and understands working out in the field to be that liaison person. That's, so you have technology, you have the people you're going to be on the lookout for as well.
Wow. Okay. Perfect. Scott, what are you seeing in 2022?
So I think for me, the hardest is changing of the guard, is the 20-year veteran sales reps, estimators that I have, and bringing up new, young, technology-minded sales reps, right? They have a bazillion ideas, right? And like I was saying earlier, I feel like this is one of the bigger challenges since going from the double tab ad yellow pages to Google. And going online, and everybody's like, if you don't get with Google, you're going to be left behind. And everybody was like, you're crazy. Yellow pages aren't going away. But the reason is the sales reps of the yellow pages were the best in the world. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with them, but the sales reps were incredible. And so the Google sales reps were like, take it or leave it, or there wasn't really no sales reps. So it just kind of something that just happened, and we had to live it. And I think that's what's going on now, is that we have to live it. And I think even more importantly than that, I think the back of the house technology is so often missed, right? We just went through almost 2 years of free money, and the government has to get that back somehow. And I feel like audits, and I feel like I've been working really hard to keep my book straight, because the technology that I'm finding, it just, they're really starting to, they're starting to figure out, okay, not only do we need technology for sales, we need technology to keep the sales and the numbers together. And that's something that really everybody needs to focus on in 2022, I think.
Scott, I think that's so great. It's so smart, because what we're seeing too, and actually, I'm sure Anna is going to bring some comments on that too, because we have been looking a lot at APIs and how all the softwares talk to each other. And if your accounting system isn't talking to your production system or to your sales system or to all of those, it's leaving you in a delicate position potentially. And so I think that's really smart. Really, how is your accounting and your bookkeeping and everything integrating in with everything else you're doing, so that you know exactly where you're at? And that's tough. It's tough. There's a lot of systems out there.
A lot to choose from.
Yeah, a lot. Anna, what are you seeing for 2022?
Well, I'm going to I have notes, as everyone knows. Anna goes into meetings and she's got this pre-planned agenda. And so John hit one thing. It's the integrations so that entire workforce can be empowered to do their job with excellence, right? There is that gap. And as you referenced, Heidi, is everything truly talking to each other? No, the industry hasn't been challenged to say we have to talk. At some level, the information has to be able to flow through. And it's not. As you referenced, John, it's bottlenecked at the administration side, or as you referenced, Scott, we have siloing happening between different divisions of our company. That is no longer acceptable in the industry. And I think we need to be very clear about that. And we need technology as a whole to, within the industry, to embrace that and start collaboratively looking at how do we solve it. Then we also have this knowledge gap, as you shared as well, Scott. And John, I know if you had shared more, you probably would have discussed this. This is something that's not only facing the roofing industry, but global commerce, where they have these amazing superstars who've been in industries for 20, 30 years, and they are now transitioning into a new either career path, or they're retiring and saying enough of this. And so the knowledge gap is a very real thing. And what is going to replace it? Are we going to see the virtual reality, augmented reality to infuse that knowledge into a new workforce? Or are we going to see robotics take that place to what percentile? So there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon for 2022.
Yeah, you know what, same thing. And I think whenever, I don't know, I may sound very American here for a second, but it seems like whenever we have these kind of challenges, the innovation, the creativity of the American people step up and really kind of try to fill those gaps. And we've seen that over and over again. And so one of the things that I think is, Anna, just exactly what you're talking about, is robotics. We have a labor shortage, and that labor shortage is going to continue to cause huge problems for our society, and not just in the US, everywhere, Canada, the whole globally. And so how are we filling some of those gaps? What are you seeing on the robotics front? And I'm going to go backwards, Anna. So I'm going to start with you. What are you seeing around robotics?
Well, we're seeing so many advancements from robotics for just the police force is tapping into robotics. We see the fast food market is now tapping into robotics. We're now demoing with RT3 the robotic opportunity to scan inside of the roof and attic crawl spaces. Yes. You know, these are new opportunities to leverage robotics and empower your workforce. Rather, you're not taking away from it. You're creating a more stable, accurate solution for that workforce that you have. And I think those are some of the exciting opportunities. There's also, when you look at options within Europe, there's robotics that can create whole homes. Right? Yeah. You know, there's this whole new space that we are now being challenged with in a very real way. We've known it's been available. It has been available to an elite market, but now we are challenged, Heidi. We're saying there's no options anymore. The workforce is diminishing, and we need to solve it. And robotics is there. It's how to harness it accurately to make sure that there's still stability for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, one of the things we see with RT3, and this is one of the things that we really focus on, is going out and seeing other technologies. So for example, this last summer, we went to Boxable, and we saw how they are using a full manufacturing to create a whole house, one box, with several Lego like boxes to create that. We also just, Anna, you and I just watched this the other day with a video of this small, and we're going to get to drones here in a minute, but this is a small drone that will just bounce off the walls and totally go within any building and check out the attic space, check out the HVAC units, all of those kind of things, where before that would have been safety issues, everything else, or even if someone could get in there, you might have to tear it apart. So we're seeing those every day with RT3 as we're kind of trying to bring some of those ideas into the industry. I see it. I see it. It's just, it is coming. Scott, what are you seeing? Are you, out there on the roof with all your crews, with everything that's going on? What's the feel about robotics?
I mean, so I've recently gotten in the solar space this past year. And I got to tell you, there's some incredibly smart, young people in that space. And they're really, I think back to Blockbusters, right? And how the change of the guard happened with Blockbusters. I'm going to be 50. And I was thinking that I was thinking that Netflix was really the next thing, and all the younger kids were thinking Hulu and even Disney Plus. So they were 2 or 3 steps ahead of what we were thinking was coming next. And I couldn't believe that Blockbusters was ever going to go out of business. And I think that's where we're at now, right? I feel like the best technology is yet to come. I think drones are great, but I think, there's so much technology out there and there's so many young, smart. Listen, the younger kids, they want to sell roofs and work from home.
Yeah.
They don't want to leave their house. They want to go eat lunch and work their hours and do what they do and achieve the same thing that we're achieving by doing the steps that we've been doing our whole life to get where we're at. So I wish I had the answer, and the answer I have is that I just got to let these young minds be creative and try and follow some of their steps.
Right. And be open to it. That's one of the things I think that has changed. Is before it was kind of like, oh, just don't talk to us about that. But now everybody's like, we got to be open. We got to embrace it.
And we got to accept the idea that it could happen.
Right.
Exactly. We just don't know how yet.
So when you talk about could happen, it is happening. And John, I would love for you to share what you've been doing with your local schools around robotics. I just think this is so cool.
Also, Eric and Ryan Reesides, they're both very technology sound, and Ryan, our estimator, actually attended a robotics course in high school, which I didn't even know existed. When I was in high school, we had wood shop and maybe home ec, that kind of thing, but I was surprised to hear that there's actually a robotics course. And Ryan reached out to his instructor from back when he was in high school, and they welcomed us with open arms to come in and teach them, talk to the students about photogrammetry and 3D modeling and all the technology that surrounds the imagery aspect. And they brought in a tennis shoe and did a digital twin of the tennis shoe right in front of the students. And they came unglued with the interest of what roofing has on the technology side to offer. I personally started roofing back in the late 80s, and our movement because of that is, how can we focus on the application of roofs smarter? If I go out on a roof today, there's the same equipment being used that was being used 30 years ago. It's again a blue ocean for robotics to interject itself, eliminate 3-man, 4-man operations to move heavy materials all around the roof, and automate that process as soon as we quit being our own worst enemy, because we're tough people. We're tough. We're going to make it through the other side. You're not going to give us a challenge that we're not going to rise to. We're going to be tough. When people come into the industry to say, I'm done being tough, I want to be smart. I want this to be a 1-man task, not a 4-man task. That's what we're starting to see now with the reduced crew availability to put 4 guys on moving bundles of insulation around. So robotics is wide open, and that's one of the objectives we had with that robotics class, is to introduce a concept for roofing applications to see if they can work on figuring out a prototype for solving that. And they're all about it. So yeah, robotics has a blue ocean for roofing.
And I don't know if everybody knows this, but I actually have a young man, a very good family friend, who was in robotics. And when you're talking about these robotics classes, they are going regional, national, huge competitions. And they're being sponsored by IBM, by Boeing, by all those big ones. So to have a roofing company, John, sponsor the robotics team, again, so progressive, and showing that roofing is, you know, we're right up there with everybody else. We don't want all the Boeings of the world to take all those smart robotic kids.
Yeah, shout out to Butler Tech. We're sponsoring their robotics competition coming up. So hopefully we'll have the Vision 7 roofing on their robot that's going to be in the competition. So nobody would expect a roofing contractor to be center stage in a robotics competition. That's for sure.
No, and I would, you know, during all of whatever we're doing, coffee conversations or RLWs or any of those, I'm always like, grab a nugget. Everybody should grab a nugget. This is one, write it down. Call your local schools, call your VOTECs, look throughout your community and find the robotics teams in your area and start working with them. Not only is it great because obviously for sales, you want to be part of your community, but also look what you may discover. And so I kind of want to shift that way just for a second too. And John, go back to you, you know, owning a roofing company, and you have just such a high brand. You so many people know you. You've done such an amazing job in roofing, and now to be moving to also starting this technology company. How did that work? That's a lot.
Yeah, well, it's keeping your mind open. You know, first you have to write things down, right? So for me, I write things down. I think about positions I need to have filled. I think about the people that need to influence our company, and I write these things down. I pray about them and I think about them. And then as I start to move around, people just start to come out to me. You know, ideas when I go to Best of Success or I go to my peer groups and people start talking, it's like I absorb that information, and it normally has a parallel with my thoughts that I had written down previously. But when Carrick, you know, he came into our company to be a superintendent. He had a technology idea, and because I had written down and I thought about technology and how we can use it in our business, my mind was open to the technology integration that he had at his fingertips to explore deeper. So you have to be present and aware of what you want, what you need, and look for those opportunities and view them as they're not chance, chance situations. They were meant to be, and they were meant to be explored. So being passionate about the future roofing, I've dedicated most of my life to roofing, and I'm passionate about changing that experience for the next generation. So whatever that takes, I'm all in.
I love it. I love it. I would like to kind of shift back a little bit too, Scott, and talk about, you know, as contractors are out there doing their strategic planning for next year, you are so well known for your sales and marketing. I mean, multiple states, you've grown Interstate Roofing. When I was first with Eagle View, I remember Interstate Roofing, man, you guys were it, and you still are. What are some of the things marketing wise and sales wise that contractors should be kind of really focused on in 2022 for their business?
Well, it's kind of funny. You think back. I remember one day that I was looking at how much material I was losing from not measuring the roofs properly. My sales reps, you know, because back then shingles were $7 a bundle and no one really cared. And I went to the local rock climbing gym and I hired all the rock climbers to go diagram all my roofs. And they used to ride around on their motorcycles and do my material orders and diagram my roofs. And when I seen Eagle View, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This can really happen. And a light went off and I'm like, you know, we need to go further. We need to dig further. We need, okay, so what's our next challenges, right? So I think a lot of our challenges have shifted from COVID, right? You know, because contact, you know, it forced us to go paperless quicker. It forced everybody that was fighting it to get on board. And I'm using that as a tool in my company to embrace the paperless. You know, my goal was to be paperless by the end of the year. I did not make that goal, but my goal is to be paperless by second quarter of next year. You know, I had to extend it because I didn't realize how tough it really is to go paperless when you have a warehouse full of, you know, 100,000 jobs that we've done, you know, and different diagrams and how to get that. How do we make that jump, right? How do we get that sales rep, you know, to go from Google to knocking doors or to referral base? And how do you can't just walk into a real estate office anymore, or a property manager office anymore. They look at you cross-eyed. So how do you get to that? You can't go to the traditional baseball game or basketball game with them to get that job, right? We have to think further. We have to, how do we get to them? Drip campaigns, social media. You know, how do we use Google but not make Google 90% of our business?
Yeah.
And for me, you know, I've made videos, I email blasts, and try not to overwhelm them with all roofing. Roofing is boring. There's nothing sexy about roofing. And so what I've done is I've integrated solar. And by integrating solar, everybody wants to talk about solar, but does everybody want solar? Is everybody going to need solar? Solar and roofing have always been apart, you know, they've been pushed apart. And I think this year is really where we have to bring it together, because I believe that that's the future. That's the technology. That's, you know, some of the biggest roofing companies, shingle buyers in the country last year were solar companies. Solar companies are actually going roofing. We need to go the other way. We need roofing companies to go solar, right? We have to start saying, we're going to put holes in our new roofs we did because we know how to seal them the best.
I think, Scott, that is so key. Okay, there's another nugget. Everybody take that, because, you know, I've been watching solar. I've been involved with solar for pretty much my whole career. And I keep thinking every year, I'm like, this is the year. This is the year. It's finally going to happen. But it takes a really long time. And I agree. There will come a point when there will not be a roof unless it's under the pine trees of maybe where Anna and I live, but there will not be a roof without solar on it. And so getting in now in that technology and understanding it is only going to make your business sustainable for the next 100 years or longer. So, because that's where it's going, 100%. Anna, marketing. Everyone knows you are the leader in marketing out there, working with so many different roofing contractors. What are some game changers coming up this year and you know, in the next couple of years in marketing that contractors should be aware of?
I think a foundational component is speed, right? You have to be fast. You have to be fast everywhere. And it's not only your website, but your response time to social. It's your response time to incoming opportunities or phone calls. You know, it seems so basic, but yet it is a metric that the Google that you speak of, Scott, is measuring you by. It is the social platforms. And I think so many times we get caught up is, what is Google saying? But in reality, we got very caught up with other platforms if we look back in technology, and we need to focus on what are the elements we can control. You can control speed. You can control your ability to respond, and you can also control how personal are we. And those are the elements that transfer between platform to platform. We are seeing some transitions within tech. And I do believe that there are challenges happening. We're seeing multiple Amazon server outages. We're seeing other massive server warehouses having ebbs and flows. And that's creating, shortage of technology opportunities. It's creating a shortage of materials. And those are some challenges that are happening within the marketing world too. And so there's new opportunities coming. So we're looking at new tech stacks evolving. There's new mergers happening. There's lots of opportunities that are bubbling up that are forcing the metaverse to start to say, okay, what is the digital real estate looking like? And how do you get into that world? So many exciting things, but I would say, what are things you can control? It's your response time. It's your speed. It's your personalization, as Scott was saying. It's being an influencer and leveraging AI. It's so many different things, but what can you control? Focus on that.
Yeah. And I think, what we talked about, actually, we talked about this before it started too, is really looking at what you have, right? Yep. Where are you? Does your website have landing pages? Does it have forms? Is it going to the right people? Are they responding? I mean, sometimes the technology can be very, we see all these big things, but really down, make sure you have a website, that it's working well, that you're on social media. Those are some of your foundation that you need to build on.
Yeah. I mean, we were, as you shared, all of us on today's call, we get really excited about big ideas. And then we come back to a reality and go, oh my goodness, like this foundational component, time out. How do we let this slip? Right. Yeah. So I would say, don't forget that as we get excited about, I'm excited about quantum computing, right? And cryptocurrency and going into this new kind of metaverse. But are we answering our phones? Are we personal? Are we fast? Let's not forget the things we can control. Yeah,
that is so wise. And I want to ask everybody out there, you have to have questions or chats or some things. Please go into your chat, ask questions of these experts. We just thank you, Wendy Marvin. Anna, she said, you're just a genius in our industry. And I agree 100%. Those are the kind of things. Please bring your questions because these folks have it. So I want to switch over a little bit here because there's just so much to talk about. But one of the big ones that and maybe it's just because I've become such good friends with John lately that this is on my mind all the time anymore. And he's going to convert me. And I'm going to admit, and I've been when we're talking about virtual reality and goggles and living in this, this world, I have incredible motion sickness. So I've been like, no, I can't do it, John, but he's helping me to get to this thing. So we've seen it with Rackley Roofing, what they do with their safety training. We've seen it across where Ken Kelly with Kelly Roofing is using virtual reality. John, you are the leader in really taking that place with virtual reality. What is happening there and how can contractors start incorporating it?
The challenge of VR is what you're saying. It's not for everybody. You have to be specific with the challenge or the problem that you're trying to fix. So that's really the desire that you need to focus on. We've used VR for sales presentations. We've used VR for training. We've used VR for collaboration and meetings. And when we just to throw it into all kinds of different arenas to see where it sticks. It doesn't stick everywhere. It's definitely a specific use case that you can work on perfecting, and communication between the field and the office again is that main sticking point that we want to focus on, maybe, and that's through HoloLens or that's going to be through VR, but the VR creates challenges of just setting up that some people have experienced. And the older, my 10-year-old son set up mine for me. But, you know, so really the VR is worth exploring. And I put out, I think we could hold this meeting today in VR and have a meeting and have our digital likeness be represented in a room and be presenting in VR. So there's very cool stuff there.
And I do have to say, John is challenging the RT3 crowd across the board. And actually, we're looking at a future RT3 virtual meetup being in VR. And so that we can all get a better feel for that and try it. So these are the kind of things, kind of going back to RT3 and what they're doing is kind of constantly pushing that edge, building on the foundation, but pushing the edge of how we can do different things. Scott, have you had much experience, or are you hearing anything about? I hear a lot of, even when it comes to like FaceTime, getting the younger generation on the roof, having the older generation who maybe can't be on the roof as much in the office, answering questions about the roof, whether that's through goggles or through even just the phone. What are you hearing in that world?
You know, so I remember using the flip phones and the old little pictures to try and show the homeowners the hail damage on the roofs. And, you know, my first experience with the VR goggles, of course, was through SVG when the storm, right? They had these goggles, and I thought, Anthony's crazy. But the truth is that there is so much of that going on, and I'm very fortunate that I'm a part of, you know, like I'm on the Western States board of director, you know, or a board, and I'm also a member of the FEI group, so I get to see all the different technology. And you know, if I can't stress enough to everybody and the Roofers Coffee Shop and the RT3 group and Best of Success, I try to be a part of so many different and it's time consuming.
Yeah.
But to your point, I really I'm not doing it. I guess I'm not doing it to the best of my ability. As John said, we're our own worst enemies, right? Because we still want to do it. I still want to get out there with a toolbox talk and have everybody sign the paperwork for the safety instead of give them a goggles, say, watch this, hit, and I forget by hitting accept on your cell phone is good. Right? But is that going to be good for OSHA? So not only do we have to make it acceptable within our culture of roofing, we have to make it acceptable within the people that we work's culture, OSHA, the manufacturers, the suppliers, and a lot of them are spending a lot of money to help us bring that together, I think. So I think 2022 is the year that a lot of that technology is going to launch, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. And you know, the Roofing Alliance right now is doing a huge study on this when it comes to safety also. And that's where I heard a lot about the folks. Josh Kelly with OMG reported on the goggles and doing the safety and ladder safety and all of that. So it's really, there's so many different applications. Anna, what are you seeing on VR?
Well, I was thinking back as the guys were sharing, in 2019, I was able to meet with a Harvard professor, and he said, here's the future of the consumer's journey. And this is going to change our entire existence, right? And I'm like, wow, put on these glasses. You would have never known I went into a VR mode because we're used to these big things, right? And all of a sudden, my existence was transformed, but yet everybody around me said, you're just wearing sunglasses. And they're very light and they're very nimble. And people go, no, it has to be this big thing. I think we're going to see that transformation of the consumer expecting it, easily adapting to it. They have learned how to adapt quickly. And then from the contractor side, empowering the workforce. And as John shared, we're also seeing those new team members, they want that type of environment.
Yeah.
And so there's this in between. period where we see the workforce is like, I don't know, but the older workforce says, okay, but train me how to do it and I'll just talk. Like I'll talk, I'll figure it out. And then we have this up and coming opportunity. So I think from the sales and marketing side, it's very, very exciting. And we also have the global space where consumers and humanity is adapt at changing quicker. Even though we don't always want to, we've been forced to change quickly. And so it's going to open up many different gateways for the VR to become a common day occurrence.
You know, I think it's really interesting too, because I just saw a commercial on TV with those glasses that have the cameras in them, right? So you can just do video as you're walking. No one even knows you're doing video, which kind of scares me, but you can have these glasses on with the video. And so when you think about that and you think again to John's very first comment of how are we incorporating this into the field? If safety glasses can have cameras that can be switched on and then have a conversation back in the office with somebody who maybe has more experience and answer those kind of questions, or even give something to your building owner, go up on the roof, walk around with your glasses on, and they're watching as you're going and you're talking to them. They don't have to go up on the roof with you. I mean, there's just so many applications that I think are going to change how we do business. And it is going to be this younger generation that brings it in. John, are you seeing that with VR of anybody starting to use it on the roof and talking back to the office or to their customers? Or is this still kind of, we're all talking about it?
We're actually using VR with our customers, mailing out a VR headset, creating a virtual environment on demand, and having a custom experience in VR. A lot of the VR experiences people are having right now are a cartoon type of environment, static, and you subscribe to a service maybe with a safety type of program, but we're able to custom integrate 3D models of properties and collaborate in VR with people that have never seen a roof. They're just in control of the money. And when you're able to put them in that immersive environment and see the consequences, they're very much moved to spend the money versus somebody just trying to explain it to them. And the same with safety and talking to building owners about safety products. Do you know what it's like to be on the edge of a 40-foot building and looking down the side of it? Do you want to put your HVAC people in that danger? So it's very powerful when you put people in that immersive environment to feel or to experience those other senses of sight and just overall feeling.
As you're kind of looking at that too, John, I just think this is really, since you're already doing it, how can contractors, what's the first step? I mean, is it Google it, Amazon? How do you make that first step to starting to do what you're doing?
They can contact us and we can help them with whoever's, you have to be internally motivated to accomplish the goal. That's the first step, and be real with yourself. It's sexy to Scott's point, roofing's not sexy. When roofing, you see something in roofing that is sexy, we can get, falsely dedicated to the cause when we really don't have it in us to complete the mission. So be honest. The first step is be honest with yourself. You really want it, and not be afraid of it being a different type of endeavor in your roofing company, because technology isn't what we've all been doing for the past 40, 50 years. I come up against that statement more than I want to. Let's just do what worked for the past 40 years. Well, I don't think what we've done for the last 40 years is going to work for the next 40. So, that's really the first step. Be honest, be true, make sure you want to, and it's not a very expensive endeavor, really, it's not, especially when people plowed the way and done the R&D. So find a champion, find a techie person that embraces this stuff and start picking their brain and see how they can help you.
putting together. I love it. Some great comments and points here from Wendy. Thank you, Wendy Marvin. And for anyone who doesn't know, and there's probably no one who doesn't know, but Wendy is out of Vancouver, Washington, has an amazing matrix roofing. And she was saying, and John, I mean, kind of Scott, Anna, this all goes to what we're saying is, how about the cost of savings of having an employee off for COVID exposure, being able to work with a less experienced employee on the roof? And so that's whether they're out for COVID or out for some other reason, whatever it may be, being able to have them be in that communication, that's an excellent point. And also when we had talked about, when I asked, what's that first step? Wendy was saying the first step is being on a call like this at 7 a.m, listening to all these industry leaders. Thank you, Wendy. I love it. Yeah, 7 o'clock. But I think when we look at things, one of the things that I want to bring up on this is, and I'm going to go back, Rackley Roofing was one of our innovators of the year. One of our first, I think our first, right, Anna? Yeah. And I have always learned this from them, but they wanted to get a translator. They were like, how can we better culturally understand multiple languages within our own workforce, within our customers? What do we need to do? And on Amazon, they found these earbuds that are translators from Google, and they now use them with their entire workforce, and they work. And they bought them off Amazon. So it's not always that difficult. You think there's these huge barriers, but even getting, and I'm going to, John, order some of those glasses, order the VR, start having some of your younger people open that up for them to work and do things, helps you get into that place a little bit faster as you're going through. And sometimes it's as easy. I really do believe it's as easy as Googling it and just trying out the technology from a consumer standpoint. I do want to bring up, you just said this, John, and I kind of want to start with Scott on this, but Scott, to me, it seems like every business, in order to really embrace technology, needs champions within who are going to champion that technology. Tell us, I mean, we know you're a champion, but did you have other champions in your business, and how did that help culturally within your company?
Well, Heidi, first thing I want to talk about is, you talk about Google, and as an owner of a company, I need to hire out, I can't do it all. So I have to hire, either do it internally or hire it out. And I weekly and monthly, and I check all my different positionings and all my different marketing. I do that myself because nobody cares about it as much as you care about it yourself. And Google, everybody on here needs to know that Google just had an update, right? And that they did. They do it maybe every couple months, every year, whenever they feel like it. And we went from the first page, we went from number 2 to number 6. And now we're back up to number 4, right? And working our way up. But the point is that I have to have a team behind me doing that work because I'm not able to do it. And I hired, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I hired a kid, a door knocker, right? And he's worked his way up in my company, and he's 29 now, right? And he's been with me for eight years, and he is innovating the technology, right? He's like, we're working on ordering. How are we going to stop being so clunky and ordering our orders through the Beacon Pro Plus, or through the ABC apps, or through all SRS, all the different apps that they have? How can we, because still it takes somebody with a brain to figure out how to solve that problem with technology. I guess I kind of got lost on the Google tantrum. Sorry. I've always had to stay updated, right? It's so hard because we forget, without the sales and marketing piece, and without, that's another thing, like the website. If we don't redo our website every like most people I talk to, they're like, oh, I got a brand new website. We look at it and it's like, that's 5 years old. It's outdated. Your website has to be every year, every 2 years, it has to be updated to keep your position, to keep where you're going, because we forget the first thing people do to look at you is Google. They go to their computer and they want to see that you have 500 reviews, that you have a 4.7 star, that, that's like the base of it. Everything from that, you grow with marketing and technology.
Yeah.
Because without the work, you can't afford to spend the money on technology.
And what I love is, like, you talk about, the 29-year-old, your technology champion in your business, and still with you, still bringing all the new stuff in, and you're getting out of the way, you're encouraging him, you're championing him. I think that I found the same thing in Roofer's Coffee Shop. I get in the way of technology a lot of times. And so I trust Karen Edwards, who's on here. I trust James Ellsworth. I trust Megan Ellsworth. These are the people you have to, like, get out of the way and let the people who really are good at it champion it and continue to grow that. John, I know you have Carrick, and I know you have a lot of different people there, but how are you using champions within your company to get everyone else to start embracing it?
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. And I really didn't think about it in the way that I do now. And then it came from somebody that was just visiting our office, and we were talking about technology. And I said, we're not a technology company, we're a roofing company. And the gentleman that was in my office said, John, have you looked around you at all the people that you've hired? You have a technology company. So that's one of the characteristics we look for in everybody we hire, is that ability to swing the technology stick. And really, fortunately, it's part of our culture now. So everyone contributes to technology. It's just not one person. It probably started with one person, and that would have, I don't want to point the fingers. Maybe it was me in my own really small level of ability, but I was always, intrigued by others that really can make this stuff sing. And that's just what I'm attracted to. So, everybody's responsible for it.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. You have multiple champions. Anna, I would love for you to share a little bit your journey, not as much on the roofing companies you work with, but Art Unlimited's journey on, you have talk about embracing technology and having champions within your company. I mean, you are doing software development. You've really taken it to the next level. Maybe you can share that a little bit with everyone.
Yeah. So technology is everywhere around us, right? And as you say, creating champions, creating new opportunities within your business. We have been striving as a leadership team in our business to say, okay, you always see those gaps, but as a leader, all the way through the company, implementing the solution to that gap is where we struggle, right?
Yeah.
And so we have said, okay, you have to clearly document the vision. You have to identify what key role and responsibilities or seats are impacted by that vision and that change. Then what we've said is, when we take that vision, we have to create a small pilot group. And that pilot group of individuals is from different sectors, and they come together, and either I or whoever has that key vision, like you, John, right? You imparted that into Carrick and other team members, like they're passionate about it now, right? So I'm thinking about a certain project I'm working on, and I have 3 individuals who are very passionate about this project with me now, where it started 6 months ago with just myself. Now we have a small team. We're proving the concept, and we're creating buy-in from the entire company and now beyond. And I think that's key. The other thing that I look at is, anytime you want to create champions, you have to understand there's cascading messages that need to be documented. And how are you creating that messaging so that it's not from vision to on-site application is so diluted that people look back and go, this is stupid. Like, why am I putting this thing on? It's broken. The person isn't showing up on time. The information isn't relevant, all these different pieces, but the idea was brilliant. So it's really taking from idea to implementation. That's why we don't always have champions across the company, because we didn't pause and we take time to slow down, to speed up, to make sure that we have that pilot group that can infuse and impact the entire company or beyond. And then we say, okay, here's our cascading messages internally, externally, and present and future. And so like that has been something I've been very passionate about the last 3-4 months, because without effective communication, the vision is lost. The champions aren't created. Exactly. So we have been making many, many changes in our company, but I just wanted to share that because I think that's, regardless of who you are, where you're at, it resonates.
It resonates with me. I'm sitting there going, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And we're, from a very small company to very large companies, it happens. It just doesn't matter. Well, I can, as always, this hour has flown by. And so I want to take a little bit of time now. Anna, let's talk about RT3. RT3, you're the president of it. It started out as an idea that a lot of people didn't get either. And we've had some, passionate people, champions, you being the lead. Why should anyone in roofing, why should they get involved with RT3?
Well, the Roofing Technology Think Tank is dedicated to finding innovation and taking that innovation and technology and bringing it to the roofing industry. So we're not just looking within the industry, we're saying what's out there and how do we bring it in. We have 100 members. It sounds very small, but that membership is designed to say, these are active members. We don't want just passive members. We want active members. And then we have the community of RT3 where you can join, gain access to some of the innovative information that is being cultivated through the membership and tap into it. So I would challenge people who are on the call today or looking at joining RT3 down the road when they're watching this webinar on demand to check out the website and from there, see the opportunities that are available to your company. And maybe you're not in the industry, but looking at saying, maybe like Scott shared solar can have that impact. You could join RT3 or you could learn about the roofing industry through the RT3 community and the technology you offer. How can it impact the future of roofing? So very excited.
In the chat, Megan has the website for RT3, the RT3 community. Let's talk about that just real quick, because there are 2 levels. There's full membership, which none of it is very expensive. To be a full member, it's $500 a year, but there is a cap on that. So you need to get on a waiting list. But to be in the community, there is no caps. It's only $250 a year, and you get to be with all these people. This is the thing. I know we do a lot and we're all out there. This new Clio drone, I'm just jazzed about going into HVAC and stuff. And we get to we see something, we see a press release, we see something in another industry, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, look at this. And then it just blooms. And that is really what RT3 and that community is all about. And as we're getting back into trade shows, we're working on doing pop-ups where you can meet and network at the trade shows for RT3 and just geek out and talk technology, right? That's what you can do. So really looking at this and being a part of it, I think is so important. And I can't believe we're down to the last minute. So I want to say, John, Anna, Scott, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your wisdom today and for being a part of this Coffee Conversations about technology.
Thanks for having us, Heidi. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
John.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody and if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask us.
Yes.
My phone's always open.
You can get to all of these folks through Roofers Coffee Shop. Just email us. We can connect you. You can get through to all of this team through RT3, emailing, getting involved with the community, and you'll be a part of all of that. So as you're looking at this, please think about RT3. And if you do nothing else, follow it.
And don't forget social media, Heidi.
Yes. Follow us on social media. Sign up for the e-news, the Smart Brief. It's amazing how much great information is out there that you can bring into your life every single day. And I want to thank all of you. I especially want to thank our ABC again for being not only our sponsor, but a leader in technology. As Scott said earlier, everything's changing, online ordering, knowing where your trucks are, all of those different things. And working with distribution and a company like ABC, we appreciate your sponsorship so much and appreciate you leading the way on this. And then I can't believe it. It's the new year. It's just like going so fast. And we are so incredibly excited about our next coffee conversation. It is going to be January 13th. And it is going to have Reed Ribble, one of my favorite people to visit with. He is just amazing. And it's going to have William Stout with Rebuilding Together, and Brandy McElhaney, sorry, I said her name, from Informa with the IRE, and Bill Bellico with Sika. And they're going to be talking about community service during the IRE week. What the roofing industry is bringing to New Orleans, how it's working. You don't want to miss this. I mean, this is talk about ultimate giving back, and also a lot of fun stuff is happening with IRE. So we'll really get you ready as we all show up in New Orleans. On that note, RT3 will also have a panel at IRE, and we will be talking technology, talking about how to incorporate it into your business. We invite all of you, please, when you're signing up for IRE, sign up for the RT3 panel. It's this and more in person, so you can walk up and talk to everybody afterwards. So thank you so much. We will see you in the new year's. We at Roofers Coffee Shop are all so thankful for all of you. We wish you happy holidays, and thank you for being a part of our community. We'll see you in the new year. Thanks.
Take care, everybody.